What a fun day, guys. We got some new Pokemon news. The Nintendo Direct was a lot of fun today. I just finished streaming it. I'm cooked. I just finished streaming it on Hidden Power with the boys, and then we recorded a 3-hour podcast after that. But I wanted to jump on here and make a video, kind of giving my first impressions of the Nintendo Direct, but also I've got some theories based, surrounding what we might be able to see in Poketopia in the DLC. There's going to be some new locations. We'll get into that. I've got some theories. I think there also is a couple things that might suggest ports later this year. We'll talk about that. But listen, we'll start with Poketopia. I do want to talk about Gen 10. We go into 2027. I also want to give some general thoughts on the new Ocarina of Time remake. I'm pretty pumped about that. I know it's a kind of a normie take, but I'm really pumped for Ocarina of Time. That was my first Zelda game. I played the heck out of that. I want to say like 6 years old. I used to be afraid to play that game until my cousin would come over for a sleepover, and we would still be like, whatever. The Forest Temple was torture, was nightmare fuel. Okay, let's start with Poketopia. So the news is we got this new expansion pass, and in August there's going to be a free update granting players the dive ability. This makes sense. This really does make sense. I think it even leaked a couple, like a day before, but this totally makes sense. There's a lot of locations in Poketopia when I'm playing, and I feel like I'm at the, like, you can sink to the bottom of the water, but the fact that you can't hold your breath seemed always like a little silly. So this free update makes sense. You'll get it at some point, probably when you can actually surf. I think it says in the fine print you can't get it until Bleak Beach. So we'll be able to get that. The dive ability. That sounds great. You kind of turn into a Squirtle. You get the Squirtle tail. Honestly, Squirtle's looking, I mean, if this Ditto is trying to be a Squirtle with the big head, it feels kind of like, I guess it's reminding me of Feraligatr Mega Feraligatr trying to be like a Totodile. That's what this is kind of reminding me of. But I like that. That's nice. That's cute. It's well needed, to be honest. It was kind of shocking. It was kind of shocking to see that we could like literally build underwater. I thought that was kind of weird. I wish I could make this like a little bit bigger, but I don't think I can. But I wish I could. I thought it was weird to see that we were actually building underwater, but it also makes a lot of sense. And it opens up a lot of possibilities for honestly, I guess it just like increases how much space on the map you can actually customize and turn into your own thing. And that's fun. You could have like an underwater base that you can only get to by diving. It also kind of feels like this is going to tie into this whole idea of like a diving mechanic in Poketopia. Feels kind of like a little bit of a nod, right? Maybe like a little bit of a teaser for the vibes that we're going to be able to enjoy in Winds and Waves, which is nice, which is cool. I like that. And so you can see the player actually building legitimate towns underwater. I guess it's like, or humans living underwater. Like, I'm trying to make sense of it, like from a lore perspective, and I'm like, does that make sense? Probably not. I'm pumped. I'm really pumped that we're getting this.
There's more.
Because that means like, I guess I'm trying to think if like new locations and stories will open up. They must within Bleak Beach, like off the coast, right? We could get some new information about, or there could be new areas opened up around the SSN, perhaps. There's a lot of cool stuff that we could do. Anyways, moving on. The first part of this expansion pass is going to be called Bubbly Basin. And it's kind of cool. They kind of hint right at the end. Let me pull that up. Manaphy is going to be in this, right? And we've seen there's a lot of legendary Pokemon in Poketopia, and they're not always relevant to or related to the locations. Like we find Volcanion just like where a volcano went off, which makes sense. I think there's a chance Manaphy, we might be able to turn into Manaphy, or maybe turn into a Fion, to not just like anyone can dive with the free DLC, but maybe Manaphy allows you to like where's it good? Yeah, so like you can be Squirtle to dive, but maybe you can become a Fion, right? Like the little offspring of a Manaphy, to dart around underwater very fast. And I think that could be like a really cool way to traverse. Like obviously you can surf on the water, as Lapras, but maybe, I don't know, maybe Fion's, maybe something else is going on with this. This is kind of cool to see Fion. And this is like, I mean, this is just, I love how cinematic this is. That's really cool to see. Let's see. We can see all sorts of Pokemon. There's okay. I'm kind of jumping around. In this trailer, we see Mudkip, we see Corphish, and right before that, let's see if I can get a screenshot. We see our character dressing up as Brendan from Hoenn. The lore of Poketopia, right, is that it seems that Groudon and that Team Magma may have won and have created so much land. The sun is so harsh. New weather patterns have created. The humans had to escape. Basically, we are in the timeline where Team Magma wins, right? And this could be a little nod to that. And we could, like, I'm really excited to learn more, in these new locations that we get to go to. There's going to be new costumes like this Brendan outfit, but there also will be new memos, right? We're going to learn more about what happened to this Kanto region, to this Pokemon world. Like, what happened? What's the fallout? Was it Team Rocket? Could we get, like, some memos about Magma? I have no idea. We can learn about more of this stuff, which is cool. But part of me also feels like this is maybe a hint, a little wink, a little nod to the fact that we might get those Hoenn ports later in the year. Maybe not, right? This whole game had... But here's the thing. This whole game feels like it is honestly in conversation with the original Kanto games. Like, they released Fire Red and Leaf Green. You go play through those. You get familiar with the whole world, with the game. And then, as you play Poketopia, you're familiar with all these things. And if the Bubbly Basin... It says it's arriving in August. Listen, I don't think we're going to get Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald in the next 2 months. But that would be kind of nice. And if not, we might get a couple Easter eggs to, the Hoenn games in August. But maybe we really don't learn a lot about them or the lore or whatever until later into the DLC, into like DLC part 2 or 3 or whatever. Anyways, that's kind of my theory. It feels a little specific that they the only costume that they highlighted was right here, this Brendan, this Generation 3 character outfit. I don't know. Also, diving, I should have put this together earlier. Diving is from Hoenn. That's like a Hoenn feature. And we see these Hoenn Pokemon right here. I don't think it's impossible. I think it's honestly pretty compelling. But I want to talk about right here, we've got Part 1, Bubbly Basin. Part 2, additional new features. And Part 3, additional new town. So this confirms to me that there is at least going to be 2 new locations. Bubbly Basin, I look at this, and to me, this feels like it's got to be Cinnabar Island, where we arrive on a new location. It's an island, and it's just a little island. But all the magic, the actual town or whatever, is under the water. And that's where we learn to harness the dive ability. And that makes sense as well, right? Cinnabar Island is, since Heart Gold, Soul Silver, 2 years after, 3 years after the events of Fire Red and Leaf Green, a volcano erupts and the island is in dismay, right? The island is no longer, it becomes inhabitable. And so I think it'd be really cool to uncover all of these things underwater. Part of this map could also include the Seafoam Islands, and I think that's where you get Articuno. That's where all the ice Pokemon are, and I think that makes a lot of sense. There's the biggest stretch of ocean in the Kanto region is from. It's honestly from Pallet Town to Cinnabar Island, and then Cinnabar Island to Fuchsia City, right? And so I really think Bubbly Basin is going to be the base. It's going to be the floor, right, of this ocean stretch. Part 2 available late 2026. That's later in the year. Maybe there's no, right? It says additional new features. I don't know what that means. That's maybe not a new location. And that could leave room to maybe see, some new ports in the future. Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald. Fingers crossed. Part 3 And I guess for part 2, what I'm expecting is some sort of new ability. That's right, a new feature, new ability, maybe some new Pokemon, maybe some new characters, maybe a new story. But it doesn't need to be a new location because the part 3, additional new town, available in 2027. I think this new town is going to be the Pokemon League. I think it's going to be the Pokemon League, and part of this map is going to contain, obviously, the Indigo League, Victory Road, and Mount Silver. And we're going to have this new peak, right? Dude, that's going to be so much fun to explore, like the Pokemon League, the different rooms of the different gym leaders. We might be able to learn a little bit more about how the league actually functions. But it's going to be so cool to be able to go to Mount Silver, where there is snow caps, where we fight Trainer Red. Like, that is the ultimate final DLC location, and that has me so pumped. And we'll also have, right, snowy, snow caps. We'll have like new snowy blocks to play with, and maybe even get like a new snow-based ability. That could be kind of cool. But those are some of like the coolest locations in like the Kanto region. Yeah, because Mount Silver is technically in Kanto, but it is only available in the Johto game. So I think that would be so cool. That's my prediction for the new town that we're going to get in Poketopia in 2027. And I think we're going to get this new location, this part 3 of the DLC, this time next year, right after, what was it? Not this time, but like pretty much for the 1-year anniversary of when Poketopia came out in April. And this will be right after the Pokemon Presents for the 31st anniversary, where we learn more about Winds and Waves. Winds and Waves, the hype cycle will have begun. And this could even tie into it. We talked about this on the podcast. And this could all tie in. Maybe, right, this yellow Shellos that we're talking about, that was hinted in Poketopia. Maybe that's a Generation 9 Pokemon, right? And maybe we get to actually interact with this Pokemon for the first time in Poketopia. There could be some really cool crossover like this. Something else that we haven't even talked about yet, but in Bubbly Basin, honestly, maybe in all 3 parts, honestly, we're likely to get new characters. We didn't even talk about that on the podcast, but we're likely to get new characters altogether. These like new Poketopia Pokemon forms. I wonder what they will be. I kind of want to look at Manaphy again, right? Manaphy's right here. Is this like I don't think that just looks like a normal Manaphy. I don't think that's a new form of Manaphy, but we definitely could see a new form, like a new Pokemon form, which would like a new character, right? Like Mosslax, right? That sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah. So let me look at my notes real quick. Ooh, also in this Nintendo Direct, let me see if I can find it. This is something that I honestly didn't really care about at first, but I think could potentially be something that would just work so well for the Pokemon franchise. If I can find it, basically it is this new. I could probably find it on their homepage, right? Nintendo of America. Stay with me. What I'm talking about is the new DK Challenge feature. Let me see if I can find it here. What it seems like is DK Challenge is this new. It's not a game. It's not like an app that you get, but it's this new like built-in overlay system. Yeah, DK Challenge Online. It's basically take on challenges in Donkey Kong Bonanza and other select Donkey Kong Nintendo Classic titles via Nintendo Switch Online. This is essentially limited time challenges. Okay, they are limited time. That's kind of interesting. But yeah, how would is this like a thing that you download on your Switch? I'm not really sure. But basically what this had me thinking about is these are what are they called for like Sony games? Achievements, right? In PlayStation and Xbox, they have these like achievements that you can get. And I guess when I see the acknowledgement, when I see Nintendo acknowledging classic Donkey Kong games, all I can think about are ports. And I think it would be so much fun if we had a system like this, right? For these classic Pokemon games. Obviously, this is working with NSO. But like, think about all the Pokemon games that I have, right? Or that exist on Switch or don't and could exist on Switch. And I think it'd be such a fun way to tie all of these things together, making them feel a little bit more relevant. I will say, Pokemon Home does do a version of this. Pokemon Home does do a version of this with the when you complete the decks, you get you get a new shiny legendary Pokemon, mythical Pokemon. There is a version of this, but seeing new art and this new interface with these classic and new Donkey Kong levels is really cool. I guess I just kind of like the idea of a completionist's like rewards for a completionist. I guess I kind of just like that idea. I thought this was a cool, notable feature that they're doing for the Donkey Kong games. I probably won't interact with this, but I was a little jealous. I was thinking to myself, I kind of want to see this for Pokemon. You know what I'm saying? And finally, we can talk about The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. I got to be honest, this was something that I low-key became way more excited for as the week went by, leading up to the Direct. And I can't believe this is actually going to be real. I don't think we really know what this is going to look like yet. Like, we didn't get proper gameplay. But, man, all I can see, all I'm excited about, the thing that, like, makes me really pumped for is the fact that all of the art, right, these characters, these designs, right, the Great Deku Tree, what are these called? The Children of the Forest, the Kokoris, right? Yeah. They're like wooden spirits now, you know? They're wooden spirits like the Skull Kid, you know, of Majora's Mask, right? They're in the Great Deku Tree. He's got like a long beard. Like, these designs are different, and that gives me a lot of hope, I guess confidence almost, that this game is going to be like, I mean, truly from the ground up, a new game. My vision for an Ocarina of Time game, right? If this is real, I mean, again, we're looking at a realistic little boy, Link, right? I don't really know if this is gameplay. I don't know. This could just be like a separate render, or like animation. But I am obsessed with the idea of a classic Zelda game with temples, right? With puzzles. All these classic characters and stories, right, from Ocarina of Time being adapted to the engine, right? This beautiful engine of Tears of the Kingdom. I know none of this. I know none of what I'm saying is like novel, but I guess I just really like the idea of having. I don't know. I'm pumped. I like Tears of the Kingdom. I'm not one of those people who is sick of it. I think it's cool. I think it would be cool to get another whole game, in you know, like a Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild. Just give us that game outside of Hyrule. And I think I think there's a whole nother game there waiting for us. But there's nothing wrong with the engine. And I guess I really like the idea of just getting classic Link, the image of classic Link, Zelda, Ganondorf, getting these classic characters, dude, in this classic version of Hyrule, in the same engine, right? I think that just sounds amazing. I'm really pumped. These are games that I grew up with. They were my first Zelda games. However, as I've tried to play them recently, I don't think they hold up very much. Truly just with the controls. I found it really difficult to actually play these games. I'm not saying the quality is bad. I'm just saying I found them difficult to play. And I'm pumped for this remake. I can't believe it's real. It's honestly kind of insane that this is real. But, yeah, let me know what you thought of this Nintendo Direct. To be honest, going forward, I think we could see a Pokemon Presents pretty soon. I think the Pokemon Company is going to want to announce and set up everything that they've got going on, and set up for the end of the year. Now that this is out, this Nintendo Direct has happened, I think the floodgates are going to open. We're going to get a Pokemon Presents, letting us know what's going on with Champions, right? The mobile version, letting us know more information about Poketopia, letting us know more about potential ports. We didn't hear anything about Coliseum. I thought that was kind of weird. yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot about the 30th year anniversary TCG set. That looks pretty sick. Let me know what you guys thought about this Nintendo Direct. Man, what a fun day. What a fun day. Honestly, Final Fantasy Resonance also looked pretty good. I don't really have a lot of time to be playing all these games. But these looked pretty sick, to be quite honest. Yeah, let me know what you think. Subscribe for more Pokemon. All right, see you guys. Bye.